Okay, so when Moses was friends with the Amorites, but as time goes on, the Jews fight the Amorites. After Moses, there's Joshua, and Joshua basically kills the Ammonite kings. He does the covenant renewed at Mount Ebal. Um, Ai was destroyed. Then the Lord said to Joshua, "Do not be afraid, do not be disturbed. Take the whole army with you and go up and attack Ai, for I have just delivered into your hands the king of Ai. His people have city in his land. You shall do Ai and its king as you did Jericho and its king, except that you may carry off the plunder and livestock for yourselves. Set an ambush behind the city." So Joshua and the whole army moved out to the attack Ai. He chose 30,000 of his best fighting men and sent them out at night with these orders. Listen carefully. You're setting an ambush beyond the city. Don't go very far. All of you be on alert. I and all those who will advance on the city and when the men come out against us, as they did before, we will flee from them. They will pursue us until we have lured them away from the city, for they will say they are running away from us than they did before. So when we flee from them, you are to rise up from ambush and take the city. So basically he sets off. The king of Ai, they hurry. So the Lord told Ai to hold out the javelin. So Joshua held out his javelin to Ai. As soon as he did this, men in the ambush rose quickly from position and rushed forward. They entered the city and captured it, and quickly set it on fire. The men of Ai looked back and saw the smoke of the city rising against the sky and had no chance to escape in any direction, for the Israelites who had been fleeing toward the desert had turned back against their pursuers. So Ai was done. The whole city was done. Now the covenant gets renewed. The sun stands still. Now Adonai Zedek, king of Jerusalem, heard that Joshua had taken Ai and totally destroyed it, doing to Ai and its king as he had done to Jericho and its king. And the people of Gibeon had made a treaty of peace with Israel and were living near them. He and his people were very much alarmed at this, because Gibeon was an important city, like one of the royal cities. It was larger than Ai, and all its men were good fighters. So Adonai Zedek, king of Jerusalem, appealed to Hoham, king of Hebron, Piram, king of Jarmuth, Japhi, king of Lachish, and Deborah, king of Eglon, "Come up and help me attack Gibeon," he said, "because it has made peace with Joshua and the Israelites." Then the 5 kings of the Amorites, the kings of Jerusalem, Hebron, Jarmuth, Lachish, and Eglon, joined forces. So they all joined forces, and we go to 10:12. On the day the Lord gave the Amorites over to Israel, Joshua said to the Lord in the presence of Israel, O sun, stand still over Gibeon, O moon, over the valley of Ajalon." So the sun stood still and the moon stopped till the nation avenged itself on its enemies, as is written in the book of Jasher. The sun stopped in the middle of the sky and delayed going down about a full day. There has never been a day like it before, since the day when the Lord listened to a man. Surely the Lord was fighting for Israel. Then Joshua returned with all Israel to the camp of Gilgal. So southern kings, northern kings, they get to defeat all these guys. Division of land of the east of Jordan. Allotment for Judah. How much time? Okay. I told you I was going to take you from Joshua and Judges as well. So let's go through this. Judges, it touches on Samson. I told you about the story of Samson. Okay, there's Shagma, Deborah, Song of Deborah, Gideon. Gideon defeats the Midianites. So remember, the Midianites, Philistines, Amorites were friends with Abraham, but they get fought up against later on by the Jews. Now, we get the Ephraimites, Zebah and Zalmunna. And we go on. We get Abimelech, Gideon's death. Samson gets revenge on the Philistines. Samson, Delilah, Micah's idols. And Levite and his concubine. Israelite fights the Benjamins, Knights. Wives for the Benjaminites. Okay, so Jews are fighting everybody, fighting each other. We get to Ruth. I'm going to skip over Ruth, skip over Samuel. There's Hannah's prayer. Hannah dedicates Samuel. Philistines capture the ark. Okay, the death of Eli. Ark returned to Israel. Samuel subdues the Philistines at Mizpah. Israel asks for a king. Samuel anoints Saul. So here's where we get Saul coming in. Saul confirmed as king later on. Okay, as he rescues the city of Jabesh. And we go on. Samuel, we'll skip over this. Just kind of, 1st and 2nd Samuel are kind of important. Actually, the whole Bible is important, really. We wouldn't be in there, but... Okay, so you have Ammon and Tamar. It talks about David's prayer, okay. I'm just going to give you a lineup of the rulers real quick. Saul, David, Solomon. These are the first 3 kings of Israel. Each ruled approximately 40 years, and so for 120 years. Israel was one nation. The books of Samuel and Chronicles, along with the first kings, describe their reigns in detail. Later Jews would look back at the time of the golden age of Israel. So you had Jeroboam, 22 years in Israel. Rehoboam, 17 years. Abijah, 3 years. Okay, so Jeroboam was handpicked by God to lead a reform, first king of the northern kingdom, provide to be one of Israel's worst. For years afterwards, evil kings were described as walking in the ways of Jeroboam. It was he who was firmly established and split off the nation of Israel until uniting 10 rebel tribes to prevent his people from worshiping in Jerusalem. Now he built a new capital and set up the notorious high places as alternate worship sites. High places and calf history plagued Israel through the entire history. First king records that God decided to abandon Israel during the reign of Jeroboam, the northern kingdom's first rulers. So you had Rehoboam. Rehoboam, Judah's first king, had a checkered career. Sometimes he obeyed God, listened to the prophets, sometimes he didn't. First, he had the religion, etc. Judah as idolatry found its way. Judah suffered million punishments against the armies of Egypt. Now we have Abijah and Israel. So you get Nadab, Jeroboam's son, Baasha. He gained the throne in a violent manner. He showed no inclinations to reverse the evil practices begun by Jeroboam. Elah. So he only one incident from Elah's reign. His chariot commander staged a military coup while Elah was off getting drunk. Elah was killed. Zimri, mutinous chariot commander. Zimri acted without the army support. The army revolted against him, and his reign ended 7 days after it began in a suicidal fire set in his palace. Asa was in Judah for 41 years. Asa and his son Jehoshaphat were the only kings mentioned in 1 Kings who did what was right in the eyes of the Lord. 2 Chronicles gives a much fuller account of Asa's 41 years. He began religious reforms that turned into kind of a wildfire revival. He drove heathen cults out of the land, even removing his own grandmother's queen because of her idolatry. Asa welcomed to Judah many refugees from Israel. Later in his reign, he backslid and he got bogged down in foreign wars, making an alliance with his neighboring Aram to hold Israel at bay. You have Omri, 12 years. He was a capable political ruler. Ahab will win hands down for competition. He married Jezebel, the pagan priestess, who promptly installed Baal worship as Israel's official religion. 1 Kings departs from his usual brief style to give a detail of Ahab's life. Okay, so we go on. Ahaziah, like his father Ahab and mother Jezebel, Ahaziah continued to worship Baal and to fight against Elijah. He was no match. It was Israel falling off. So Asa, then Jehoshaphat. Judah enjoyed the rare blessing of 2 good kings back to back. Jehoshaphat would continue the spirit of Asa's rulers. So while Jehoshaphat's doing the right thing, you know what I mean, over there Ahab's doing the wrong thing. Omri, Ahab, and Ahaziah is doing the wrong thing. So Judah stays true, and then it goes on. As we get to that's around 885 BCE according to this, and around 820 BC we get Joram. Joram ultimately failed to do right. He modified some of the worship of Baal, and at times he had a respectful relationship with the prophet Elisha. So remember, you have Elijah and you have Elisha. But Joram lived in treacherous times. The nation of Aram was attacking from the east, and God had set in motion an internal plot led by Jehu against Ahab's heirs. Finally, Joram fell victim to Jehu's error, ending the evil dynasty founded by Omri. Jehu was a prophet, was not to be confused by the prophet Jehu. He was a military man. He began a holy mission to purge Ahab's influence out of Israel and Judah, but considerably overstepped his bounds. He killed Joram, held Jezebel throne from a window, and slew 70 princes, pounding their heads in tubes by a gate. But he slew all the priests and prophets of Baal and tricksters that worshipped of Baal into a trap that led to a mass slaughter. Unfortunately, Jehu's zeal for violence did not translate to a zeal for justice. His actions tore Israel apart for generations. He did little to tend the nation's spiritual health. Okay, in Judah you had Jehoram. He was so Jehoram starts messing up. He kills his brothers. He marries Athaliah, daughter of Israel's Ahab and Jezebel, and they start doing the Baal worship thing. So Jezebel corrupted both Israel and Judah with her bloodline of the devil. You know, so it's the woman doing Satan's work. Jezebel's a perfect example. We get Ahaziah. He was a puppet to the notorious Queen Athaliah. So the Queen Jezebel was running the whole show in Judah under a puppet leader. And then you get Athaliah, Queen Athaliah's first corrupt her husband Jeroboam, and dominated her son Hezekiah, and blah blah blah. Okay, so let me go on. I know I'm running over. I'm gonna finish the list. You get Jehu in Israel, Jehoash, Jeroboam II, Zechariah, and Shalom. You get Joash, Amaziah, and Azariah in Judah. And going from about 750 BC to 715, you get Menahem, Pekah, and Hosea in Israel. And you get Azariah continuing Jotham and Ahaz in Judah. And Judah ends with Jehoiakim, Jehoiachin, and Zedekiah. So Hosea from Israel, the Bible says Hosea less wicked than some of his predecessors. Another Israel's death was certain. Hosea angered Assyria by turning south for Egypt for aid. The Assyrians attacked, and after a terrible 3-year siege, the stronghold of Samaria fell to the conquerors. Assyria deported the vast majority of Israel's population, became the 10 lost tribes of Israel.